Hi. Okay, this is a new Nigeria with Olawale Oluwade. I want to speak briefly on 2027 presidential elections and opposition chances. 2027 presidential elections and opposition chances. Now, the 2027 presidential elections isn't a foregone issue, as the APC apparatchiks would want you to believe. What you see with the gale of defections of so-called high-profile politicians is a psychological warfare intended or designed, carefully choreographed to demoralize and immobilize opposition politicians from strategic planning and efficient execution. Each of the defecting governors, senators, reps, and whatever lack their people's approval to decamp, but they do so for merely selfish reasons alone. Now, here's my reading of the political field presently, as it is presently. Here's my reading of it. And also, I offer my strategic insights to those amongst the coalition politicians who are serious about rescuing Nigeria from the grip, of the APC in 2027. And I premise my insights, and my suggestions on a single question. And I ask, can the opposition politicians agree to a consensus candidate in 2027? Let me repeat that. Everything I'm going to say from here on is premised on a single question. The answer to this will determine, everything else I'm saying. Can the opposition coalition politicians, can they agree on a single consensus candidate in 2027? Number one, if they do, if Southern Nigeria presents Mr. Peter Obi, then the Southeast will give Peter Obi at least 95% votes of all Southeast registered voters. The five governors of the Southeast can campaign for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu all they want, and it will amount to absolutely nothing. We saw this play out in 2023. I mean, the vice presidential candidate of PDP in 2023, Mr. Or Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Arthur Okowa, was vice presidential candidate and was a sitting governor. Mr. Peter Obi's Labour Party, a ramshackle, amorphous, loosely formed party, swept that state and so many other states up to the Middle Belt states. And Ifeanyi Okowa and his stooge or Borowere have zero electoral, value, in my opinion. Number two, can the opposition coalition politicians find a strong, hugely popular vice presidential candidate from the northwest or northeast, preferably a moderate Muslim, to pair with the Peter Obi ticket? When I say moderate Muslim, somebody in the mold of a Nasir El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, does not feature. Brilliant man, smart, extremely smart man, sound administrator, but lacking abjectly in emotional intelligence and empathy for national office. Number three, conversely, if the above scenario is reversed, that is, we find a strong northwest or northeast candidate and pair this with Mr. Peter Obi becoming vice presidential candidate, can we do this? Number four, the middle belt states of Plateau, Benue, and Nasarawa will be decisive in 2027 presidential sweepstakes polls. So the opposition must begin working on these three states in the middle belt now. I presume they already have. If they haven't, this is a wake-up call for them. Number five, again, I urge opposition politicians forming a coalition, don't be deceived by the defections of governors, senators, reps, commissioners, House of Assembly members, etc., etc. It is to give a false impression of a fait accompli. Number six, the 2027 presidential polls is going to be a straight battle, between the people of Nigeria, the general people of Nigeria versus the elites. Political parties or big names shall be demystified in 2027. Bookmark this video. Just keep this video. In 2027, political parties and the big wigs, the so-called big wigs in politics, will be demystified in Nigeria. Number 7, any opposition coalition candidacy without Mr. Peter Obi on the ticket, either as president or vice president, will not succeed. For clarity, I would repeat that. Any opposition candidacy in 2027 without a Mr. Peter Obi on the ticket, either as president or vice presidential candidate, shall not succeed. It's not going to go anywhere. Of all the viable political, opposition options, candidates options now, Mr. Peter Obi remains the most credible and widely acceptable, option or candidate to the generality of informed Nigerians, myself inclusive. Number 8, the Northwest, Northeast, Southeast, and Middle Belt states of Plateau, Benue, and Nasarawa will produce the next president of Nigeria if a clean, free, fair, and credible election is conducted. Number 9, can anyone produce or make or initiate convincing arguments and campaign justifications for the re-election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government as deserving of 4 more years? Can anyone? Well, of course, I know many will offer to give such reasons or justifications, but nothing they will say can change the reality of chronic hunger, mass misery, multidimensional poverty, incredible sufferings, senseless deaths, rampant criminalities, and the continuing collapse of social norms and values, and the near total capture of public institutions for personal purposes, and so on. So, as I prepare to wrap up, the ultimate kingmakers in 2027 shall be the people, the generality of Nigerians who have borne the full weight and brunt of the insensitive, cruel, callous, and detached leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government in the last 2 years. So, the choice before the masses is a simple choice, and it is straightforward. They can sell their freedom for bags of rice for 20,000 and other forms of short-term inducements, or collect these inducements and still vote the president's party out of office in 2027. The choice is for Nigerians. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu may well be a good man. I don't know him, never met him. But he doesn't deserve another term of 4 years as president of Nigeria. I shudder to even imagine that possibility. That's my take. Thank you for listening. God bless Nigeria.